welcome to the Mole Confidential, Season 5, Episode 3.
Welcome back. Well, today we have Mr. Schatz making his Season 5 confidential appearance. DB back. She was quite high on the last episode being the best confidential ever. Did it have anything to do with her being in it? I don't think so. And of course, Kama, who helped me on Season 5. So, we're going to get right into some of your questions, some of your comments, and some behind the scenes stuff. First thing was a couple people made a point how in the video it says challenge number 3 instead of number 5. Yeah, that's my fault. I'll tell you why I did that on accident, why it happened. I actually fixed those things like at the last step when I was editing the video. Put the right challenges in. I put like the second challenge, I got it identified right, and then I went back and changed the title for the first one because I used the same template from the previous episode for the next one. And then I saw some little thing I wanted to change, and I screwed up, and I hit Control Z to undo it, and I think I hit it twice, and it undid the title change since that was the last thing I had just changed. So, my fault. Sorry. Oops. Well, hopefully it won't happen again, but the episodes are long. I go through them and I always miss something. So just the issue. And it takes so long to render the episode, even though I've got a decent computer. There's so much audio tracks, video tracks, layers and things. It takes like an hour and a half to render. So if not longer. But next up, we have Kama with a question.
Someone asked, what do we use for the quizzes we do? We pretty much use a Google document with multiple choice answers, and then we send them a link, and then they go answer the questions, and we get the answers they have back.
And it is time-stamped. So we see them when they submit it, it timestamps it in a spreadsheet. And then Kama and I just kind of go through the spreadsheet and calculate it, how they did and who would go. If you've done the who do you think is the mole voting after every episode, it's the same look as that. It's just multiple questions instead of just that one. All right, another question was what texture packs do I use? Faithful. You can notice if you didn't watch closely, I use Faithful on my desktop, and I didn't have Faithful loaded on my laptop. My laptop was logged in as Mrs. Boz, and it was doing that bird's eye view. And you can kind of tell a difference between the two texture packs. Ideally, I probably should have had them both the same, but it would look kind of cool regardless. All right, Shots has the next question.
So people asking for the tour of the lodge. Pretty much we're going to be doing that later because of spoilers, and the signs.
All right, Kama has the next question.
How was the mole recorded? Well, I was really tempted to say on a computer, but I shouldn't. So we did it 2 episodes a week. We met at an evening time, my time mostly. And then we just recorded 2 episodes back to back. I think I'm not sure what programs Boz used, so that's more of a question for him.
Yeah, I think the question they were asking was more related to, I really don't know for sure, but obviously Kama's right. We did 2 episodes a week until we finished. Everything was recorded before we started airing anything. So the players, it's all done. All right, DB has the next question.
Okay, the next question is the mole staged or do players know who the mole is? Obviously not. That wouldn't be too fun. We don't have people scripted. In the quizzes, people answer. Boz puts in the quotes of who they think the mole is. Someone such as Stig, who talks on and on. I don't think that's scripted. And then, yeah, that just wouldn't be fun. What's the point of doing the game show if everyone knew what the mole was? We're not a reality TV show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 100% legit. Only one player knows who the mole is, and that's the mole themselves. And then the rest of the players have to try to figure it out. And they've said before, people who have played it, when they get to the elimination, it is very stressful for them because they don't know if they're going to go. All right, so here we are in the elimination room. You can see my co-hosts here are all standing on eliminated players because we don't want you to think we're giving you any clues because we're not. So I did a plugin for the mole, and I used it in the first challenge for two things, and we've talked about it. The challenge where it was comparing the items being built in the first challenge to make sure it was a match, and then also to override death and keep the players moving seamlessly, and they wouldn't ever actually die, but they would be teleported back, and if they're on fire, extinguished, so that they don't stay on fire. But I also wanted, most importantly, was the plugin to do something here for the elimination room. And it didn't work in the first 2 episodes because we recorded 2 episodes back to back. So for the first recording session, it failed. And I'm going to tell you what it's supposed to do, which would be a player walks onto the center of the smooth stone platform there in front of me. The plugin detects it, turns the screen white, which signifies that it's now scanning that player to see if they are going to be eliminated. Then after a period of time, it would either bring up a green screen saying they're safe or a red screen saying they're eliminated. Well, it failed. Here's what it looked like in episode 1, what you didn't see. Okay, so it didn't work. So what had to happen is, in the old days, for these episodes, I would do a world edit. And I always did it myself because I was always afraid of having somebody else do the set commands. And if they messed it up, we'd eliminate the wrong player or tell the wrong player if they were safe. So we would do like a world edit, one corner of the screen, bottom corner, and I would do like a set green for safe, set white to put it back, set red for elimination. And then we had a helper who would flip a lever or do something like a world edit to get rid of the floor. When the plugin failed me and I understood why, Comma took over. But what I did when I made the plugin is I made some commands. And let me show you those. I made a command called safe. When you can see I typed it, the screen turned green. So when I called a player up, they would step up. Comma would wait a little bit, and then he'd do /safe, and then I would go, you are safe. And then when they walked away, he would do a /reset, and my plugin would put it back to a gray screen. So you can see we never had the white screen. If they were the player to be eliminated, he would type bye-bye. The screen turns red, the floor is opened, they fall to their death. And reset puts everything back. So for the first 2 episodes, Comma did that in the background. And then I just, whenever the screen turned, I played off of it with you are safe. Or, I'm sorry, you have been eliminated. The one thing I didn't like about that method is the floor opened up as soon as it turned red. And I prefer there to be a delay where I can say, I'm sorry, you are the mole's next victim. Poof, then they fall. So the plugin was supposed to handle all that for me, but it failed. And here's why it failed. When a player walked on to the platform and was locked in, the plugin was looking at their movement to see if they would leave the spot. But it was also looking at everybody else's. And when Comma and I tested this, it was just me and him. It doesn't track ops. So when I de-opt him, it was looking at his movement only, and he was being perfectly still. But all the other players would be fidgeting or looking around, and it kept unlocking from them. So the screen would go gray, white, gray, white, gray, white. And it was a mess. So here's how it works after I fixed it in between the next recording session. What I do is I do a /player command to identify who the eliminated player is. And you can see here it tells me that I've set it. Then I also turn on the actual tracking. Right now it's not even monitoring. So one of you go walk into the middle, just real quick. And you'll see it won't do anything. Because I haven't started tracking. Because I don't, if I left it running all the time, you can go back to your spot. If I left it on all the time, it would be monitoring players even during other challenges or when they're moving around the mansion. So I only want it to work at a certain point. So I'm going to turn it on. And you can see it says tracking's now on. Players don't see any of this. Now, what I would do is I would say, DB,
Yeah.
Go ahead, step up.
Okay.
She'd take her torch, and she'd go up there, stand in the middle. And then it locked on. And then there's a random delay before it switches, in her case, to this. You are safe. Now walk away.
Oops.
As she busts the place. Okay, now go ahead and go back. You can do it again. Step on it again. It doesn't matter how many times she does it. Now walk away. Say, "Oh, I don't want to do it."
No, I don't want to do it.
It automatically resets as soon as she gets far enough away from it. All right, you can take your spot. And then, comma, take your place. So as soon as it sees it, it locks on and only tracks comma's movement. Random delay. If he tries to walk away, it will let him. You are safe. And he walks away. And now, Mr. Schatz, not looking good for you.
Oh.
This is a longer delay, but you'll see when it does change, it's going to have a delay. Watch the floor, too.
I
You have been eliminated.
don't
Boom.
wanna.
He falls. And you can see also, Long Shots was eliminated from the game, a victim of the mole. So I think I got you back in here, depending on if you respawned.
Nope.
Let me fix this real quick.
All right. So now what happened? This is a copy of the world, so it doesn't hurt anything.
Okay.
So when we're doing the elimination tracking, if somebody dies like Shots did, it overrides the death message. But let me turn off the tracking. So now it's not tracking it. Go ahead if whoever wants to and take a dive. You can all take dives if you want.
Yeah.
But since we're not doing elimination tracking now, it just says the normal message. If you were in creative, you won't die. So you can fly back out if you are. So that's basically how it works. And then, of course, I like to leave the floor open in case the players want to come over here and go, "Gee, what happened to him? Oh, man, that looks bad." And then before we get ready to go to the next challenge or the next recording session, /reset, we're back in action. So the plugin worked beautifully after the first 2 recordings because I fixed it. The reason I wanted to do it was so it was easier for me when editing. Because normally what I would do is I would say player's name, they would walk up to the platform. Then I'd have to type in the command /set space, green or wool green or whatever. And then I'd wait till they walk back and then I'd say /set, wool white. And then I'd keep redoing that for everybody. And I'd have to edit that out. Now it's literally just one cut at the start, one cut at the end, unless something stupid happens and we have to edit it out. But generally, for eliminations, that never happens. So it made my life a lot easier. Much simpler to do it with a plugin. And it worked great after the first hiccup. All right, so here we are at the lovely challenge, Don't Get Trapped. You can see the beautiful artwork from the players when they did this challenge. I built the basic structure here. I kind of used World Edit in a sense to kind of do the little surrounding area just so the players couldn't see outside of it and kind of mark off the challenge. Comma decorated here with the mousetrap. And for this challenge, I made sure that the players could only break the wool on the inside of the blue. When I first made this challenge, I actually had the players' starting points on the corners on this blue area. And then I was like, well, that's stupid because their first move would have to be diagonal if they're in the corner. So I obviously then moved it in. So interesting challenge. I always love to see the artwork that gets generated from this, the players' moves. You can see a couple players did a very nice job making a nice solid colors. Other players a little bit more chaotic. And of course, some open spots that weren't used. But your guys' thoughts on how this challenge went?
I don't know. I think it was just really kind of luck in a way. You don't know which way each player is going to go, so you kind of have to, guess.
Yeah, it's hard to plan out for the future moves of what other people do. So the people who did Dylan solid colors, they kind of just blocked off themselves, which didn't really work out as you saw. But it's unpredictable how this goes, and it is dependent on a lot of luck.
Yeah, you can pretty much just plan out like the first 3 or 4 moves maybe, and from that point on, you have to see where it's going. But it's a good mini game. I like it.
Yeah, so it was very interesting to see it play out. It worked well. There's always that issue with the winner. Do they take the exemption or not? It's up to you guys as viewers to decide if there was anything mullish. But that is your chow number 5. All right, so here we go. DB, run it. Run it, DB.
Oh,
Don't fly it.
Going.
Can you
I'm
do
going.
it? The infamous, we call this,
Yeah.
this first jump, we call the bond.
Oh.
Oh, she failed. We're not
Just
going to
don't
close
take
this
13
episode.
minutes.
We're not going to close this episode until you make it.
I'm not gonna pull a bot.
Shots you can try to.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I want to make mention, too. Nope, Shots failed it. Neither Shots nor DB know who the mole is. They don't, well, unless they figured it out, but they don't know anything about the season short of what you've seen aired. This is their real behind the scenes, but we're not letting them look at the other challenges. Shots has made it and has moved on. They're not seeing anything ahead of time, except for the sneak peek. But you'll see I've kind of tweaked it. There, she did it.
Yeah.
See, Bon, it's easy.
Gosh, I want to slap you, Bon. It was terrible.
So for this challenge, originally, this one, I was really disappointed in my original design of this, and it was pretty lame. So Kama came in and made it, honestly, he made it look nicer and have some different twist to it. I will say, though, the bond jump here was pretty much, this is the original that I made.
Yep.
And I actually made that on my first try in my testing. But Kama definitely made everything look nicer, made it a little bit, he added the slime, the glass stuff here, replaced some of the stuff I did, made it better. You can see I did the mountain around it.
Yeah, I need to mention something as well about almost all the players. They did not do what I intended them to do. They did not walk over the 2 glass blocks. No, they jumped over the fence before they reached the last green glass block. I'm really disappointed in all of them.
I tell you what was interesting too was Silicon's landing.
Yeah.
He landed, and it's the weirdest thing. He landed like here, and it glitched him over.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, because you got to kind of roll with glitches when they occur. Or was he hacking? Was he the mole?
I mean, you don't even need to jump over those 2 blocks. Like, they tried to jump. You just need to run.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting challenge. One of the things I was going to do, and you can see in here, there were signs in the room. I was going to have Stig put the signs up with the players' names the order, and then like have something where below the names would be put in, and then we'd reveal it kind of like The Price is Right, with the girls revealing the price tags. But it was such a small room, and the players really would have been able to see the signs maybe if we came in and out of the place. So I didn't do that. I will mention back here, very hard to see, there is a sign from the mole. It says, I judge you and find you wanting. Love the mole. Very tough to see. All right, so here you guys see a sneak peek at a challenge in our next episode. What could it be?
Ooh.
All right, so next up, we're in the room of the eliminated player from episode 3. If you haven't watched episode 3 of The Mole, go watch it now because you're going to get spoiled. So hit pause, close your Chrome, get out of here now because here we go. All right, this is Mr. Silicon's room. He's a very basic man, didn't have a lot of things, but there was a sign that says, Guess you need a sentry to watch out for you. Love the mole.
The pun.
That mole, so funny. All right. That viewer voting, you guys voted. Remember, this is the voting from episode 2. We always want to have it behind. Otherwise, you don't even be able to vote for like a day or so. And it might influence people still voting because you can still vote up until Friday on episode 3. But at the end of episode 2, when I closed the voting down, you guys thought by majority Silicon was the mole. Well, you just found out you're wrong. So you're going to have to reevaluate, people. Tons of you thought it was Silicon. All right. The beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment, the one you've all been waiting for, where you guys can send in your links to your comment of the week songs, much in the style of Gizmo. There's a link in the description of the video here where you can click it if you want to submit an audio file, a link to an unlisted YouTube video if you choose to go that route, however you want to. It can be a Dropbox file, SoundCloud, whatever. But sing your version of Mole Comment of the Week like Giz did. Please don't use any copyrighted music or I can't use it. If you do use some music that's not your own creation, tell me what it is so I can verify that it is copyright free. But this Comment of the Week song comes from Muncher of Carrots. Take it away, Muncher.
The Mole Comment of the Week, bum ba-dum. Comment of the Week, bum ba-dum. It's the Mole Comment of the Week, boom ba-dum ba-dum boom. Hey.
We got a real treat for you this week because the Comment of the Week comes from somebody named Longshots, and he said,
I think the mole is that German-sounding guy, comma. He seems very suspicious. He almost never talks. Shrug face.
So there you have it. That's the first time I think we've ever had a Comment of the Week done by the person who actually said the comment.
That's the voice I had in my mind when I was writing that comment.
Well, hopefully that gave you guys some info and some sneak peek and all that good background info on the mole. Stay tuned this coming Friday for season 5, episode 4, where we're one step closer to figuring out who's going to be that final survivor, who's going to be the last person eliminated, and who is what, the guys out here?
The mole.
Come on.
Mole.
There you have it. So that concludes Confidential Season 5, Episode 3. If you guys want to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.